Pokemon is more hyped than ever before, but when will this die down? And how can you survive it as a business and as a consumer? For the first question, when it will die down, it seems like we would never see a set like 151 again. For that was peak Pokemon and peak hype. And then every single set that comes out now, it seems to be trying to eclipse that. Although, in the long term, will any? It's unlikely. But we see things, sets like Prismatic Evolutions, going crazy. Journey Together, going crazy. The next sets for the Gym Trainer Heroes looks to be the same, judging by what's going on with the Japanese market. The Rocket set, similar story. You can currently pre-order the Rocket set if you go and find the right Japanese supplier. But the prices they're putting up are in the hundreds of dollars, hundreds of pounds range for a single booster box. And when you're talking about a regular set, not even a high-class set, like Prismatic Festival or Prismatic Evolution or Terrestrial Festival was, it's insane. And then, after all of that, in June, we got the black and white 151 equivalent set. And we know that Gen 5 is a hugely popular set. Pokemon are really trying to capitalise on it at the moment. We've got ZA, or Legends ZA, coming out late in 2025. We've got Switch 2 coming out. It's all going to contribute to that. And so fine, that's what we know about the sets coming up until June. Surely this can't continue. But wait, 2026, the 30th anniversary of Pokemon. It's going to be huge. A lot of people get dragged into the hobby around these times at the anniversaries. So looking at this, end of 2026 probably is maybe when we're going to see a die down to the hobby. We've also got the Mega Evolutions coming back, so that is going to be big. It's going to see a lot of back checking in terms of old Mega Evolutions, particularly the sort of more manga artwork cards. They're going to go up in price. It looks like the hype is going on. The hype for Pokemon will continue. There's always a level of hype for it, but at this high level, looking throughout 2026, we'll see what they have for the latter sets in 2025 and then early 2026. But with it, the 30th anniversary, you know that it's going to be a big year, as it was the 25th. And it seems crazy that we're already on the 30th. 25th anniversary doesn't seem that long ago, and yet here we are. And it'll be interesting to see too what's going to happen with the games. The Switch 2 success will have a knock-on effect into Pokemon. That the more popular it is, the more people have the Switch, the more people are going to buy the Pokemon games. And although looking at the latest sort of releases that we got from Pokemon Presents, didn't look amazing graphically, still looks a bit meh. There was one shot with the Sandals moving along, and it just looked bad. I know it's not sort of the final polished product, but these graphics don't tend to improve the further it goes on. I suppose the only interesting new mechanic is the movement in battles, which, because it's something that people have been asking for a long time, it's going to be well received and the battles are going to be enjoyable. But I just pray that it won't be as glitchy and as laggy as Scarlet and Violet. I just remember playing that game and the first route on it being so glitchy and so laggy that it was a chore to get through, even though the game was great. Sunk a lot of hours into it, really enjoyed Scarlet and Violet. And it's amazing the things that we overlook as fans of the game. Like, oh, it's glitchy, but look, there's a Pokemon hanging from a tree. It's worth it. And I have a feeling it's going to be the same for the upcoming game. Although Legends Arceus was a lot better in terms of glitchiness than Scarlet and Violet, but because it's looking more like the Scarlet and Violet game design and sort of that world. Kind of high hopes. Cool battle mechanic. Hopefully it's not... what it made me think of was the Pokemon Go battle mechanic, where you can sort of dodge last minute. Friends played it, and I just hope the hitboxes are good for the dodging. That if you're dodging a move, you're actually dodging a move, and it's not just, oh, you've got a massive hitbox, so actually we're going to count that as a hit anyway. That would be annoying. But we will see. I think it's an interesting idea. Obviously, people have been asking it for a long time, so it will satisfy people, even though you would imagine this should have been in ages ago. How did it take this long for it to be implemented? But such is life with Game Freak and the Pokemon Company, so can't really complain. Either way, when the game is successful, it bleeds over into other aspects of the hobby, so it looks like the card games will also be successful. Although it's hard really to know where the Pokemon main focus is in terms of the games, in terms of card games, either way. They all sort of bleed into one another. It seems mobile games are the big thing, as we had that bit of battle game, what they call fighting game sort of aspect of it, or a bit more like Pokemon Stadium, and I can't remember the other one, but those sort of gameplays and being a Pokemon game probably will drag more people into the hobby as well through that, although I don't think it will be as big as sort of Pokemon Go or Pocket. But either way, the momentum of the Pokemon company as a whole seems to be big. Expansion into other territories as well, so Korea recently, and then India sort of in the market as well. The plan to expand in there, bringing the cards into and the games into Latin America, or what would you call that? Regional something. But basically, they're playable now in Latin American Spanish, so that's obviously an expansion. Brings more people into the hobby, more people talking about it, and you might not think, oh, but what effect does that then have on the English market? It has a knock-on because English are seen as the grail cards for all languages, Japanese to an extent as well, but English is really seen as the modern day grail of the different cards. So people getting into the hobby, they then want to step it up, want to look for the most expensive cards. Naturally, they're drawn to English if they're looking at the modern era. And it's a difficult time then for anybody who's trying to just enjoy the hobby as a casual or as a hobbyist. And there's two aspects to this. One is the business aspect and one is the consumer aspect. So touching on there's a lot of overlap between the consumer and the business aspect as well, which is really that if you're trying to survive on English alone, it's going to be very tough for you. From the consumer aspect, the supply and then the consequent price that comes from that. And really it's an issue with Pokemon printing enough, and that they enjoy the hype. The hype is good for Pokemon. So they have a limited supply. It's easy then for scalpers to take advantage of. It's very difficult for scalpers to take advantage of a market which is saturated with product, as you need serious capital to then be able to affect the market in any way in terms of buying up product and being one of the few sources that people can go to. So Pokemon Company could really fix it. They don't. There's limited supply. It's hard to get that. It's hard to then buy it to rip packs from a consumer perspective, as you have to pay high prices in a scalper premium to get it. But then from a business perspective, if you are making your margins, no matter what they are, you will not be able to have access to enough product to flip it. Certainly not to flip it at MSRP, which should be the goal of any store. So then your options are you have to branch out, and for both consumers and for both businesses, Japanese and Korean present an alternative. Both of these markets are slightly cheaper than English. Japanese to a smaller extent, but Korean, which I sell on my website, as well as Japanese, you can get for at least a quarter of the price of English, from some sets much less. And so it's a really great option. You just want to open packs, you just want to have fun. The artwork is good. Korean has seriously improved in terms of the card quality since the definitely Sword and Shield era, but certainly for sort of the older sets where the Korean quality was a bit fake seeming, sort of a plasticky finish, but that's sort of gone now, and the Korean cards are quite comparable to Terrestrial Festival. If you want to look at any streamers or box breaks of Terrestrial Festival in Korean, quality is incredible, really, really good, much better than English and comparable to Japanese. I would seriously suggest checking it out. And if you can get your hands on some recent Korean cards, you'd be surprised, especially if you've got any direct comparison with Sword and Shield. Very, very good at the moment. So that's something that we can branch into. Japanese, the benefit of it is the supply is just there. There is always supply of Japanese product, even though it might not seem so from a distributor. Whereas Korean, they're sort of suffering a lot from supply issues at the moment. It's only really Terrestrial Festival that is being, so Prismatic Evolutions that's being printed a lot. But either way, you can still access it for a good price if you know where to look. If you're in the UK and Europe, then the Chase Club, a link down below, good place to buy Korean. Slowly building up Japanese stock, but there are plenty of places to buy Japanese. So that's what I would recommend as a consumer or as a business. Business, seriously, you won't survive on English, whether you're ripping and shipping or whether you're just selling on a store. You need to branch out into these markets. As a consumer, the continual sort of pushback is, but I want to read the cards. And the only use case where I understand that is if you're playing the game. But otherwise, for me and for a lot of people, Pokemon cards are there for the artwork. You're not looking there reading the cards, or not a lot of people are doing that. It's the artwork, seeing the different cards, seeing the different Pokemon, the different ways they're imagined by the artists. For me, that's the joy of it. Ripping packs, seeing what you're going to get. Call it gambling, whatever. there's still sort of a thrill for it, and it's I don't know, calling it gambling, which functionally it is, but a lot of things are gambling. It doesn't seem so much like the casino. It's sort of the soft gambling that you get from loot boxes. Although obviously, functionally it is still gambling. But the enjoyment of opening packs, seeing what you're going to get, being able to do it for less than £1 a pack. 80 pence for some of these Korean packs is just a crazy price. And so if you're trying to give packs to children, it's a great way to do it because they get loads of packs that they can really enjoy. Rather than, here you go, you get 1 pack a week because it's £4 a pack and that's crazy. So, can't get much more than that. So, I think it's a really good way to do it from that perspective. The other aspect is just not letting FOMO as a consumer get you. You don't need to have the latest sets. They will be reprinted. They will go down in price. And I know it didn't happen with 151. And the sets are still very high. And so for those specific cases, you've just got to look elsewhere. Japanese 151, Korean 151, they are accessible. It is possible to sort of go down that route, and they are much, much cheaper than English if you can get it anywhere. So don't be so holding on to English as this is a gold standard, this is the only thing that I can buy and that people want. It's not true. I've made a good amount of money selling Korean. In January, I sold 30k exclusive Korean, and in February, I did 25k. So you can sell. There is a market for Korean, for Japanese as well. And for Japanese, there always will be. For Korean, there will be as the prices stay high of the other sets. Japanese being dragged up every single set now, being around the £80 mark. Insane. Japanese should be around £30 to £50. And Korean is really around the £20 to £30 price range. And that's what it should be. But we see that not the case at the moment. So I personally, ripping packs, wouldn't touch Japanese. I would only rip Korean because I do it for the enjoyment. I know that no matter what language, I'm going to lose money ripping packs. Who cares? Who cares what language it's in at that point? I just care about the artwork. So we're going to be in it for the long run. Pokemon prices are going to stay high. The hype is going to stay high for sets. And so the Japanese sets are going to be pricey. The English sets are going to be pricey. And scalpers are going to continually make money while they can. But when it dies down, when there's less interest, when scalpers start to lose money, they will look elsewhere. They will start to look at other areas. And then the hype will die down. It will become more accessible. And we'll see sort of calming in prices. And the calming in English prices has a knock-on effect in terms of Japanese prices. Because when the Japanese distributors see what's going on in eBay with these set prices, they know that they can hike it up because there's going to be a market in Europe and in America. Unfortunately, it's just how economics works. Could it be different? Sure. But we know that we're always going to be paying MSRP if we're trying to get Korean or if we're trying to get Japanese product. There's just no two ways about it. So that's life. 2026, going to be hyping Pokemon. 2027, who knows what they've got planned. I'd imagine it'd be calmed down. But you never know what games are going to be released. You never know what sets are going to be released. Just can't imagine it. So we have to wait and see. And then we've got, what is it, Gen 10, Gen 11? Can't remember what Scarlet and Violet is, but when that comes out, we'll see again how the hype is. If there was a serious development in Pokemon games, could be crazy. Again, we'll see. All just speculation at the moment, but I'm confident in saying that at the end of 2026, or that throughout 2026, the hype for Pokemon is still going to be high. Sets are still going to be scalped. Japanese market is still going to be inflated. And you've really just got to look elsewhere. If you want to buy any Pokemon, then you can check it in the link below at www.thechase.club. First link in the description. And if you want to hear anything mainly from the business perspective of Pokemon, then like, subscribe. You can follow on the other social media as well. And yeah, trying to just be as open as possible as a business. Let people know what's going on, any struggles are sort of encountered. Just looking at the Pokemon marketing as a whole, because it's pretty crazy at the moment. Anyway, see you in the next one.